Games. Board games and things we do, it's what we're talking about. Board games and me and you, and we're not gonna shout. It's Jess over there, and I am me. I am Bez, I hope that you agree, because if we're uncertain about our identity, then we can see nothing with any certainty. But maybe that's okay, maybe we should question everything, which I guess we'll start doing after I finish singing. Boards, games, and plans, and what we've been doing, it's what we're talking about. What we've been doing and what are our plans, I'm not gonna shout. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. It is 10 a.m. UK time. Time for another Bezzy Beats and Board Game Blether. And today I've got what's going to be a fortnightly chat with Jess Metheringham. Today we're chatting about bargain bags, couple, colouring in, greeting cards, and UK Games Expo, and possibly some other stuff, because I never say no to a good tangent.
Let's see what we get onto. I mean, questioning what we're about, that sounds like a great idea. Let's question our identities a bit. Always a good start to a day.
I mean, you need some certainty. Like, how much certainty do you feel like you need in your life? Are you a person who needs some degree of certainty? I like some degree of, this is what I'm doing, and I know that even if I'm not doing the right thing in the broad scheme of things, these things can be challenged, at least I know, okay, I have to do this thing. And so I like having those at structure and rules somewhat.
What I think about in terms of life is I think that I like to know where the brackets are. I'm perfectly happy with a fair amount of uncertainty as long as I know where that uncertainty is. Which box are we being uncertain in? What I really want to know is I really want to know the things which I don't know. And I'm happy saying, hey, that whole stuff over there, don't know about it, not going to worry about that.
So you're
I'm
happy
not
with known unknowns, but you're not so happy with unknown unknowns.
Exactly. I am really, really happy with known unknowns.
And this is a really interesting thing. It's kind of like when you know that you don't know something, then you can get other people to help you along the way. And it's kind of like this whole level of working with other people. You've got all your collaborators for Descent Games, for Library Labyrinth. I've got Chris, who's working for me 2 days a week. And at UK Games Expo, you'll get to meet Chris. And you've definitely not met him. No, wait, you might have met at Dragon Meet.
Yes, that sounds quite likely. Yes, I think I have met, but in a hi, how are you? Nice.
I'm
nice
not
to meet you. I'm going somewhere else.
That because Chris isn't like. Chris doesn't recharge by being around other people like me. Chris really enjoys being around other people, but likes to be on their own, which is why actually at UK Games Expo they're only going to be there for 2 days out of the 3. They said, I'm happy to do a full day. I can work from 9 until 7, that's fine. But I just don't want to do like a short stint every single day. That would be too much for me.
That is really good. It's really good knowing what they like, but it's also really good, being able to articulate that. Because I love being around people for a particular burst, but I need to know when it's going to finish. Basically, I really love being around people, but it's like roller coaster rides. That it's gotta, that it's.
You want to know that it's going to finish.
Well, it's great, and and it's really good to do. But you do it too much, and in fact, my level of doing it too much is lower than most people. And I recharge by being by myself. But yeah, I need to know when it's going to finish. But also, there's only so much you can take. Roller coaster rides as well. I went on the Ramesses Revenge, I think, when I was about 14 or 15, and it was new at Chessington. I went on that 6 times in a row once, and that was too much.
Okay. Well, I mean.
Tangents
I don't think
already.
anyone should be asking you to definitely go on roller coaster rides. We're not going to force anything, but let's talk about before we talk about what we've been up to. Let's just talk about the past day. what we've been up to then. And so let's go through it and talk about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. So for those who didn't see my last stream, I did do some new creatures, some of which are totally different. So I'm hoping that you can tell quite easily how many eyes, appendages, and legs this one has. One eye. You can unmute yourself and.
I mean, I think that's one eye and 6 wings or 3 pairs of wings. I'm not quite sure how you define it, but I know what it is.
Wings.
And then feels like that's 4 legs. I mean,
exactly.
They are all legs, aren't they?
That's what it's meant to be. And so these creatures, if it's 6, it's always wings. If it's 1 eye, it's always got this catty style. If it's 4 legs, then it's always got these birdie legs. But this was the previous version, and you can see they're all a little bit simpler. They don't have the props. They don't have the extra confusion. This is like playing on super hard mode. So here, I mean, again, hopefully you can tell how many things it has.
See, that's quite difficult, because my initial thing was to say, hey, that's 2 arms. But of course it's not, it's 4 arms. But
exactly.
Just for a split second, because of the shield and because, of course, the sword is being held by 2 hands, then just for a second it looks like it's, like
that's
it's only 2
exactly
arms.
what I want. I want it to be fooling you, but only for a second. And this, shouldn't be too confusing, but it's just a bit of fun with a little prop. I think that's
nice.
fairly clear. Here's one on the skateboard. Again, these are kind of just, it's something to distract you. It's something so that, whoa, that's a skateboard, and then your mind kind of gets confused for maybe a second or two. That's what I'm aiming for. And then finally, you might be able to recognize which game this creature is playing.
It's Yogi!
It's Yogi Guru. You can tell by the cards on the legs, and also it's got the foot above hand.
Very nice. No, that's really good. I can tell that, but it does again, especially because one of the hands is right down and one of the legs is up. That actually looks quite tricky.
But you can tell how many of each thing it has.
Absolutely.
And that's what I did yesterday. I wandered around. I messaged someone, actually. I need to write an email and send a message back. I've got an exciting possible meeting at the end of May before UK Games Expo with someone that I'm not going to say who it is, but it's a big company that you need to sign NDAs for. So I'm going to show them a few games and see if they're interested in anything. I went over to Chris and McCall's, and where is my new game? I want to show you my latest game. Sorry about this. So my latest game, which arrived yesterday, is a game about quickly matching words to pictures, but never words to words or pictures to pictures. So you've got stars on each side. Most of the cards have one thing on one side and a picture on one side. You see there's 3 types of pictures. No, wait, 4, sorry. Cat, bike, bed, and star. Yes. Yellow, red, or blue. The blue is incredibly dark just because we wanted to make it visible even for colorblind folk. So there's not going to be any distinguished confusion with that red with that yellow, because it's a different shade even in grayscale. And you've got all of these. There are 4 special cards which have, so this is 3 things can match. You could match the word star, you could match the word red, or you could match the word blue. And that's basically it. You split them up, and then you touch the 2 piles, you shout the words that you're matching to the color, you take them off, and then it becomes like a chain reaction quite often. So as soon as you reveal, there might be another pair of things, like anomia, if you're familiar with that. Well, this was actually partially inspired by a party game for the L deck, which was inspired by anomia. So it's gone through like a few versions, but it's definitely interesting how many L deck games are turning into spin-offs, and this feels like a thing that could become its own thing. We played that. We played. Let's see if I can find a bit of paper. Where's that? I can't find it right now. We played a
The
few
Crew.
games of the Crew, and we did. Eric says we played Love Heart versus Skull in a group mode.
Nice.
So it was 2 versus 2,
Ooh.
and it was really interesting because 2 versus 2 meant that everyone was talking through their decisions, and I found this really interesting to play.
I mean, that one definitely came out as a Love Heart, I think, there. But
Yeah, I think it is interesting because there is a split vote on Twitter, which I was happy to see because it is meant to be uncertain. And I do think that there is such a strong set of skills that you develop after your first, second, third game. I find it really interesting because you draw an eye and like the other eye was in purple, and then you forget that the person after you can just color in everything around the eye in the same color because it doesn't matter what color things are.
Right.
It's all about establishing the contrast, all about establishing those boundaries. And actually, some people say that the skull on that picture has the advantage because people do see faces more, and the eyes are kind of just one circle. Some people say that the Love Hearts has the advantage because I actually drew the Love Hearts twice just to reinforce it because Skull was winning, and so there's things that I can do in terms of balancing. And I was actually almost think one thing I will say is I listened to your show on Board Game Design Lab. Very nice.
Hey.
And I was thinking, could I do like Christmas themed things? Like 2 things. Could I do, I don't know what I would do, like a snowman versus
a reindeer? I mean, the thing is that you quite quickly get into those sorts of, really typical tropes. I mean, you've got gifts.
It could be Star, I guess.
Star?
Like, Star's quite a good one because then that's quite symbolic. It's quite easy to see.
I mean, actually, there's some point in thinking about what people make biscuits out of. We've got a whole number of those cookie cutters upstairs, for things like gingerbread biscuits. And
Christmas tree versus Star.
Christmas trees. Bell is actually quite a Christmassy thing, because you don't think of it that much because it only appears in a few stories. But bells. I mean, donkeys are always good. Donkeys are good for anything, I think, actually. Just thinking about, what else we have there, so we've got, there's various gifts as well, so say there was sort of a Christmassy surrounding, you could quite easily do something which, things that look like they were the sort of toys that you'd give at Christmas, a teddy bear versus I don't know, a doll of some sort, or, those are too similar though. But, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you want them to be very different, so there's no parts of them is shared. The first ever one was Ghost versus Skull, I want to say. And just because the eyes were shared, like they both have eyes, it felt like, no one's fighting over this part of it. And then there was another bit where no one was fighting over it. So I want every part of the picture to be actually meaningful and to be like, although maybe like now that I've started having grids that are more freeform, so they're not lines, the bit that no one fights over isn't such a big deal. So, and I was also thinking, does it feel cheap if I were to do, for example, for a birthday card, cake versus Love Heart? Does it feel cheap having Love Heart in 2 different sheets of paper?
No, I don't think it does. I think it feels. I think as long as they were. So I think you can go down 2 routes here. You can either have them very different, or you could have them very similar. So you could have a set of Love Heart versus something or others. Is it a Love Heart versus a skull, or is it a Love Heart versus a cake, or is it a Love Heart versus something else? The other thing I was just thinking of as you were talking was about Christmas as well, which is a gift. so it would be a gift versus a teddy bear, or a gift versus a doll, and then it's, have you opened the gift or not? It's the kind of thing where, someone's trying to draw it with the wrapping on, and someone's trying to draw what would be inside the box, essentially.
So someone's just trying to make this 3D cube with the ribbon on it. And that's really interesting, having a series and saying, okay, this is the Valentine's Day series, although you probably don't need so many Valentine's Day cards, because that feels
This is the
an
loving
incredibly
series.
niche market. I mean, unless, maybe do it for Galentine's, which is like, I don't know if you, like Parks and Rec Day said, oh, it's the 13th of February every day. I go out with my friends and we all get drunk and we have mimosas and then
Brilliant.
we just chat, and I call it Galentine's.
That is brilliant. I have seen people referring to that, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. But I mean, things like that. If it was, say, postcards, and and you had a set of postcards, then those could be something where you buy a whole set and you send lots to everyone. Particularly if it was, a love heart thing or a gift thing. Plus, there are things like, like children's party bags, or things which kids might want to give out in school. That could really lean into that.
And then you only need, you need 3 colors, which again might be difficult for some adults, but anyone who's got children should be able to do it. And anyone who's sometimes drawing, I think at worst you should be able to find maybe red and black and something else, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that a colouring in game, some people just won't be wanting to play colouring in games, and that's absolutely fine. But for those people who are interested in them, they are likely to be able to find some, some crayons or some pens.
That's a fair point. The people who don't have 3 colours, they're not going to be interested anyway.
Probably not. Although they might have things like highlighters. But, I mean, definitely for children. Plus, also, you could also sell some crayons as well. So for Games Expo, then I've got various pads of things I'm making, various notepads, but I'm also making up some full sets, as it were, which come, with a little pack of crayons, and come with 4 little wooden dice, and come in a colourful cloth bag. I have a whole load of different colours of bags. So, although most people, I think, would just want the game itself, there might be a set of people who would go, actually, can I have it as a ready-made thing where I don't need to go and find those things?
And you told me you're making 50 of these?
I have got, hang on. Ta-da. I've got 50 different coloured cloth bags. And
when you say different colour, like it's a variety of colours. It's not 50 different colours.
No, that's very true. It's a variety of colours. It is, I think it's 9 different colours, actually.
I mean, I see some pretty good colours. I mean,
yeah?
There's some nice reds, there's some burgundy, there's some kind of purplish red.
Yeah, so there's 2 different reds. There's a light red and a dark red, although you can't see that very well. There's a pink,
no, I can see that.
The yellow. There are then 3 different blues. So there's a dark blue, then a much lighter blue, then there's a deeper blue as well. Here, there's a deeper blue. And then,
can you show the deeper blue versus the dark blue?
Hang on, I'll get all 3 of the different blues up in this thing. So we've got.
Is blue your colour, or was this just what was available?
These were the ones I thought looked quite nice. I mean, I am a blue or greeny person, I think. So there's a light kind of cornflower blue, and then there's a sort of a darker navy-ish, quite dull blue, and I quite like these dusky colours. And then there's a brighter blue. So you see,
I like that kind of royal blue almost.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I'm really into the dusky colours. And then there's a sort of a teal type colour and a brighter green as well, which both really appeal to me. I quite like those. Yeah, not pastels, dark, dark dusky colours is what I'm really attracted to personally. But yeah, so I've got a whole load of those, and then I'm going to put them with little roll and colour pads, which are very similar to the greeting cards roll and colours, but slightly more complicated, which aren't quite done yet. And then there's going to be some little wooden dice in there, just little wooden dice, and a pack of crayons.
So this is the bulk of what you've been up to recently.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, the stuff that's been game related, because this week is the last week of Parliament, but the stuff that's been game related has been looking at these and going, okay, what am I going to do with these notepads? Because quite a few people, when I was doing the roll and colour greetings card, said, hey, what about notepads? So I've thought, okay, so if you've got the instructions somewhere, what would a notepad look like? This is one of the first ones I've done. The frogs and lilies need to be redone because there's only actually 2 different types of frogs and 1 lily, and and as you can see, the frogs are facing silly ways, and I think there's some scaling need to be done, but that's more or less what it's going to look like. There are on there 17 different shapes, of which there
the
are...
original version was all about having colours that are not next to other things, and
Exactly.
it was kind of like Sudoku. Basically, the frog that's in 2 different squares, you need to make sure that the frog that's straddling row 4, column 1 and 2, that none of the other 4 things match that colour.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
So
here you've got 2 types of items, and so you said there's actually an extra twist.
Yeah, so it's scoring. So you'd still play it in exactly the same way. So you roll your dice, you roll the dice, 3 if you're playing solo, 4 if you're playing with other people, because you can have multiple little sheets. That's the joy of a little notepad. You've got 50 sheets in the notepad, so you can play with other people. So basically you roll the dice. You choose 1 color for, 1 dice for the column, 1 for the row, then 1 of the dice would be the color, which you've already pre-selected 6 colors and colored them in at the bottom. And, and you just color in those things there. You're trying to get, you're trying to spread out the colors, so not having the same color adjacent, the same color in the same square. And exactly like you said, some of them have got 4 things, which are in the same square. Some have only got 2. But then when you come to score, you'll score in 3 different ways. You'll score firstly for each one of those shapes, regardless of whether it's frog or flower. For each one of those shapes, which is not in a square with a shape of the same color.
Okay.
Then you'll score for as many different colours that you manage to get amongst the frogs. So perhaps you've got.
So that would be a maximum of 6.
A maximum of 6. There are 10 frogs, so it's quite likely that you may well get them. Then you'll score for all of the different colours that you manage to get within the flowers. Now, there are only 7 flowers. So, when I've been playing this myself and playing with my daughter, who's nearly 6, then, we've quite often got nearly full marks. Quite often we've got sort of 4 or, 5 different colors. There was one time I got full marks amongst the whole thing, because full marks would be 17 for the first one, then 6, then 6. There's only one time I got that, so it's pretty good, really.
So it's not trivial, it's achievable, it's a fairly simple game compared to a lot of the roll and writes that gamers might be used to, but it's something that hopefully gamers can share with other people. And it's something that you can introduce really easily.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
You've also got this one, which just looks gorgeous. I love how flowers and colours, it's a no-brainer. And I'm almost surprised that this one hadn't been suggested before. It's like those ideas, like frankly, in a bind, now known as Yogi. Yogi, it's like one of those things where people say, oh, this is the kind of idea that comes at you and hits you at 2 a.m. But no, it took me years to get to that point, to make it that simple. And here again, it's that genius idea of, you want something colourful? Flowers! Why not have flowers?
Flowers are brilliant. Yeah. These tulips have been really fun, actually. So I might be putting these on a card rather than a pad, so they're there in the pad format. They might be going on a card instead. The cards you see are one-time use, so you don't get any
And this
better at them.
one is, again, the simpler formats where you're just scoring each object once for being
so
different.
that's the simple format. So I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to do this. So I might do this as a pad and keep it as like a simple format. Might do it where it's just a card, because I'm going to do a couple more cards for Games Expo as well. So, but it just looks
it's a
gorgeous
definite
like
question.
that.
Like on a pad, do you want to have different things throughout the pad? Do you want it to be like a level thing, like you do a bunch of these and then a bunch of those? Or do you want it to be, okay, this is the one thing that's the best, we'll focus on this? Because for me, having a variety feels the most appealing, but then at the same time, then you run into the issues of, well, how many of each do we actually put in here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm going to do the pads just being one thing, but they're relatively small, so people would hopefully expect to buy two pads. They might buy one simple pad and then one more complicated pad, for
If
example.
I may ask, business and prices, if you're happy to share that.
So I'm
How
not
many
entirely
pages are
sure.
the pads? How much are they costing? And how much are you planning to retail them at?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not really sure on the last of those, but I think I'm probably going to go with 50 sheets in the pad because that makes sense. They're going to be A6, which is quite small, so because otherwise you do have quite a lot to color in, and I think actually especially for a game where people are trying to do it quickly, or perhaps but they're going to go as close to the edge as I can. Yeah, so
That's
A6
his
is bad.
A6.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am. They're going to cost me. They're going to cost me probably about 80 pence each or something. And what I'm retailing them at, I'm not quite sure. It's probably going to be something like, I'm thinking, perhaps £2 or 2.50, when they're in one of these bags with the extra stuff. I'll have to work out how much the extra stuff is costing, but I need to think a little bit more about the prices.
I mean, traditionally people say that you want to get it up to 5 times margin, ideally, because then you're able to get it through retail. Obviously, if you are not going through retail, then you don't have to worry about that. But at the same time, when you go to a convention, you do want to think about your prices. And it's a thing that I actually raised the price of a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after some makes noises the other day. So actually, let me share the Golden Geek page because I've not done that yet today.
Yay.
So, for those who haven't watched me in the past week, I have managed to be nominated. Hello, Jay Foolsguard. It is lovely to see you. And please, why did that not work? I meant to do that. So yes. Golden Geek, and if you check here, you can look down at the party games and you can tell which one is mine because it's the one with the slightly longer name.
They are the best names, though.
And what astonished me was like the number of people who came out of it saying, actually, this is my favorite party game of the year, or some people saying this brought me so much joy. And good evening, CD. It is, I think you might have a typo, but it's lovely to see you as always. Anyway, yeah, it's just super exciting to see that. And please, if you haven't gone to rank all the party games yet, please do so. And I'm not asking you to vote for me just because it's me, but please vote for whatever you feel qualified to pass a judgment on. And anyway, the point that I was saying was that yeah, I have had some more sales because of the increased thing. It's not a massive amount. It's possibly at this point in the past week, it's been as many as 10, which is quite a sizable amount for me. But considering that last week I sold like one thing, but yeah, obviously, like winning that award would be even more amazing. But then I was kind of thinking, like, all these things that are being sent, I make like £2 on each one. And if it was like £2 more, or even £1 more, I would be making, you know, when someone's spending £10.50 to get a copy of my game, and that's meant to be direct from me, and I'm only making £2 of that, it feels like maybe I'm undercharging. And so what I've decided is I've raised the price to £7.50, which I feel I can still justify it and saying, yeah, it's still a bargain. You're still getting a really good game for £7.50. I still feel good about that. I put it on Twitter. What should I charge? £6, £7, £8, and to 60+% of people went for £8, and a few people even said, "Oh, you should actually be charging £10." And so I was really encouraged by that. But I can see there's still a bit of imposter syndrome, and so I've still gone for £7.50. But what I am planning to do is at some point I will do a third edition in an actual box. This is not my art. This is just a box that I picked up that I got sent. Rob needs to cut a totally new shape, and we're going to discuss that. Basically, it only makes sense for me to print 1,000 boxes, which it does get away from the joy of doing it at a small level. But what my current business model is basically, okay, when I print something, do 100 copies of it. So this game about quickly matching words to pictures, but never words to words or pictures to pictures, it's £5. I feel good about that. It's not been tested a lot. I can't say with confidence this is the best game ever, but like, it's a good game. Two companies took it to consider in 2020, and so it was good enough for that. It's just that 2020 pandemic happened, and it's kind of, I do have a lot of ideas, and I hope that if your position is that £5 is all the money you get for entertainment for the year, then frankly, I wouldn't recommend that. I'd recommend you wait a bit until, I'd be more, obviously it's up to you to decide how much money you have and, how much you can afford. But for a lot of people who are like, yeah, I can afford £5, that's fine. I drink coffee from takeaway places all the time. If you're in that kind of demographic, then for you, I can basically guarantee, if you're not turned off by the title and what the title suggests the game will be, that basically tells you whether you'll enjoy it or not. And that's basically what I'm aiming for. That £5 is low enough that it'll sell out. And then after that, and I'm not even going to sell all 100. I'm going to keep like 20 of them for personal use, for giving to my volunteers, to making sure that everyone that works for me has them. And 10 of them, one of them I'm going to keep for myself, maybe 2. And then 8 of them I'm going to give to companies to pitch, to kind of see it. And then once that 100 is sold out, then I'll decide, is it worth a reprint? Do it on Kickstarter? Maybe, maybe not. And then after that, I'll decide, maybe I'll do a big, like, boxed version. So it'll be a Bezzy bargain box rather than a Bezzy bargain bag at that point. But yeah, and yeah, sure, for the box, I would charge like £9 or... Yeah, I think I would go to £9 rather than £10, but maybe that's wrong. But yeah.
No, I think that's sensible. I think actually, you got to think about, what it's gonna cost you, and I think, that I'm in the same boat, that it's very easy to undervalue what you're doing, and it's very easy to say, oh, well, it's only costing me this. Well, actually, hang on. We're going along to conventions, there's money to hire the stand, there's money to, to just take all the stuff there. Physically being there costs us money, and it's like, actually, we'd like to make a little bit of that back. We also just want to, we want to say, look, we spent quite a lot of time
I mean,
drawing all those
ideally,
creatures, etc.
you would want to kind of make all of that back, if not eventually actually make a profit. Because whilst I love being able to get my games out there, that would be the ideal. And, you've managed it with Library Labyrinth, that there's a tiny bit there, which is fantastic. And I think that, these 50 sheets, even though they might be small, I think that's quite cute. I think that £2, you're really undervaluing yourself.
Yeah.
And I think 3 times modifier is like the minimum. Like, does it come with a front cover, or is it literally just paper glued on one side?
Literally just paper, but there will be an instructions sheet. There'll be an instructions sheet as well.
I mean, like, I'm curious what other people think. So for 50 sheets of a roll and write thing, but then the dice and the pencils are not included, how much would you pay for that? I'm tempted to say £4 just because it's even less than £5. So it's so, that's quite good. And maybe have a deal that if you buy 5 of them or whatever, then you get a bit of a discount. I don't know. Or
so I've only got 50 of these, bags and sets and whatever. They do actually look really good together. So I've got to have, some sort of arrangement on the stand, which really shows them off. Plus the cards look really good as well. So I think so I think it will basically be, that people buy the bags and the stuff, with the, so they buy a bag and a stuff, with a pad, and I don't know what that's going to be. Maybe that should be, £7.50 or something. And then the extra pads, perhaps some people will add pads, perhaps some people will just buy a pad by itself. So, I think that's going to be quite interesting to see what to see what people want. But I might have not a terribly complicated, but I might, sort of a list of what the options are there.
And if you've got like 3 different pads, or let's say there's 3 different pads that you've got and they are £4 each. You could say, well, if you buy all 3, then it's £10, or if you buy any 3, it's £10, something like that.
Yeah, that could work really well, especially because then we could have, things like that. Now, this one here, the balloons, this might be slightly more complicated. I'm not quite sure. I need to, fiddle around with the balloons there.
And there's like the normal shaped balloons that are just round. There's the squiggly balloon on the right, and the bottom left, there's the star balloon. And then there's the heart-shaped balloons. And there's also the one at the bottom that you can only see a tiny bit poking out.
See, that is one of the tricky things, the one at the bottom. Now, these, one of the things there is because I have made it so that all of the balloons which are in the same space as another balloon, they touch each other. Which, of course, has limited a little bit. But essentially, I've got 4 different types of balloons. I've got the normal round ones. Let's say that the one behind that you can only see part of, that's a normal round one as well. Then I've got 4 heart balloons. Then I've got 2 wavy balloons, and then 1 star balloon. Now, I was thinking, and I think I'm going to, play around with this a little bit more, but I'm thinking at the moment that it would be, so fill them in as normal, with the dice, and then score, firstly for each one which is not, firstly for each one which is not in a space with a balloon of the same colour. Secondly, for the normal round balloons, different colours in there. Thirdly, score for the hearts and the wavy ones together. And then finally, there's an extra score, which is for the star balloon, which is whichever colour you coloured the star balloon, you get a 1 point for every other balloon, which is that colour.
Okay, yeah. That star balloon is interesting. That feels like a lot to me. So, just to recap, you've got this, which is the basic thing, and you can sort of ignore the scores down there. It's literally just are these flowers in the same space as something else with the same color?
Absolutely.
Then here, the frogs, you do exactly the same thing with the frogs and flowers, but then you count for different colors for frogs and different colors for flowers. That makes sense to me. Although I kind of wonder if it should just be different colors for flowers, because thematically that feels resonant. But
then that
with
one is
the
way more
balloons, there's
complicated.
like so much going on, and it feels like definitely this is level 3, and I feel like I feel like you might be at risk of, maybe I'm completely wrong, it feels like you might be at risk of doing what I did with a game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and counting your radishes. Because much as I'm excited about having this radish version that's extra complicated and it's basically like playing on super hard mode, and I'm excited about it, Josie's excited about it, everyone who's kind of played the game loads at the conventions is excited for it, but that's a tiny number of people, and it's easy to, when you're wrapped up in your own thing, add on complexity and forget that maybe this is something that you should be bringing out in a year's time.
Yeah, no,
And
that is
if you
true.
look at the Ticket to Ride model, like in the Ticket to Ride, you've got the basic, okay, you get points for the ticket, I'm talking about the pocket versions, by the way, Amsterdam, New York, London, you've got points for the tickets, points for when you place the routes, and one other thing. And it's that one other thing that keeps changing. They don't add one thing and then bring in more things and more things. I mean, sure, they did that in the big boxed version with India, where they had quite a bit going on, or some of those maps, like the Markland edition, there's so much going on there. But for the pocket version, it's like, okay, we're going to keep it simple. And it feels like here, you are trying to make a simpler game. And so it almost feels like maybe having 2 scoring methods might be enough. Having one for the standard score for everything that isn't touching something of the same color, and then secondly, score for the star balloon. And the star balloon seems like the interesting twist here, which is really cool. But maybe just do the star balloon.
That is a very good point. And that would actually enable me to make the wavy and the heart balloons, to do more of them, or then it wouldn't matter whether the balloon, which you can only see a bit of, is whether it's a round balloon or a wavy balloon, for example.
Although, frankly, like seeing only that tiny bit of the balloon, it kind of looks almost like a glitch. And hello, Timmy. It's lovely to see you.
Hello. Well, I think maybe, yeah. So, I mean, so this is one where I need to, to redraw a bit and to make them all, to make them work. And it might be that if I move them around a bit, because, for example, I don't have any of them going up into another square from that bottom row. And maybe actually going up into another square might be the best way to do it. That would work. Let's see. I think, this is one where I think I drew it last week sometime, and I need to, to have a think about, how it will actually go, because there are a few things I'm not 100% sold on with this.
But that's
the process
lovely
of doing
thing
it, isn't
about small-scale runs like ourselves. I mean, between today and tomorrow night, yes, that's correct, I am going to be making a brand new game. And that's going to, I think that I'm aiming to make a new game for every convention. So this is my game for the Dicini convention, that's this weekend. And then I've got another convention in 2 weeks and a bit. And then I've got another convention after that, which is UK Games Expo. And then I've got nothing for about a month and a bit. So I can relax for a moment, because I don't have to make a game for like a month and a half, which is,
Wow, Bez, you're so busy.
Yes, I mean, right, so far this year I've made 1, 2, 3, 4 things, and by UK Games Expo I'll have made at least 6 this year.
Wow.
But
wow.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I picked off too much, but my point is that this is the joy of doing small runs, that we can do this sorts of stuff. Thank you, CD, who says that's a great challenge. Speaking we are still in the recent highlights, which is incredible. This is the longest recent highlights ever. Brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? Jess, why is colouring in brilliant?
Colouring in is great. I mean, especially if you've got loads of different colours. So you can merge the different colours. And crayons, I say that I have been converted to wax crayons more from from pencils, because they just they give you more colour, they cover more. But yeah, I mean, to take something which is just a monochrome thing and to say, oh, we're gonna fill it with different colours, it just makes me happy.
Mm-mm. That is a lovely sentiment. I like these paint markers that I only got exposed to at Now Play This because I was buying pens specifically for it. I said, I want some pens that won't seep through to the other side. Like, this is really thick. And you think that this will leach through, right? But look.
Oh, nice.
And so it's paint and it's really opaque. You can even go over other colors really nicely.
Yeah.
And so those are fantastic. I'm really enjoying them, although they are probably more expensive than wax crayons. And also if you shake them with the lid off, then some of the paint can splatter onto a table potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't normally happen, but there is the risk. So someone did it in the pub, and then I kind of took a tissue quickly with a bit of spit and kind of got rid of it.
And you were like, right, you got to get rid of this. But yeah, I mean, finding the right medium for you as well, because we've got some nice, some nice watercolor things at home.
And the way that you apply color, honestly, I love this. I love having that black outline that's already there.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm able to just literally spray color with a toothbrush or literally with spaghetti or just kind of slam it down like finger paint. Just
fill
using
it in
different
somehow.
mediums. It's like so freeing.
The texture
hello, Joanne.
you get.
It's lovely to see you, my lovely friend who plays music, and it's wonderful. And yes, we're just rejoicing in colouring in because Jess made these lovely colouring in sheets.
Yay! Yeah, I mean, having something where you can just sort of go, oh, this was monochrome. Now it's full of, exciting happiness. But yeah, finding the right texture and the right medium for you is always important.
Jess, at the start of this, I'd proposed that we play a very quick game of couple. Is that something that we have time for?
I think it depends. Because so here is coming the confession time. I have never played anything on Board Game Arena.
That is totally okay. So
how does
Joanne,
one do it?
The colouring in sheets are not on Board Game Arena, but Couple is my game for the L deck. So this is one window, and this is a completely different thing, which is Jess's. This is printed on tiny little A6 sheets of paper. And Jess is getting it ready for a convention. But
excellent.
So you actually have to make an account and everything for Board Game Arena.
Okay. So does that mean that I need to do that now, or?
Yes. Make an account on Board Game Arena and let's see if we can make this happen. Because apparently I can invite you to games, even though it's an alpha.
Okay.
So as always, comments, ask questions, thumb, like, follow. I'm just going to check that we've talked about everything that I said we would.
I'm just going to mute.
So yes, we have talked about the Bezzy bargain bags. I've been hard at work making lots of different things. Jess has been doing lots of art, which we had a wee bit of a chat about. And we've not talked a lot about UK Games Expo, although Jess has showed some of the plans. And yeah, there might be a little bit more to talk about. I'm struggling with volunteers. If you are based in the UK, if you're interested in volunteering for someone, then I am happy to repay you both financially and also with my time. And I can sort out accommodation for you and give you lots of games. But yes, we talked a wee bit about greeting cards. And so, but right now, Jess is maybe going to make a little Board Game Arena thing. Joanne asks, have you ever tried Tabletop Simulator? I am learning that. I am familiar with that. I have played a few games on it. So firstly, I'm not a big fan of scenarios where the rules aren't enforced. I find it much easier cognitively to play when the rules are enforced. And also there was some, concerning things, not recently, like a couple of months ago with Zoe, when they were basically suggesting that gender is not a family-friendly thing to discuss, and the amount of stuff that was going on in their chat was quite problematic anyway, and so it felt like they were, at least in their chat, fostering a potentially problematic space, and so it felt quite a few people chose to move away from it because they felt like this wasn't a company that they wanted to support at that time. For me, it wasn't something that I was really engaging with anyway, so I didn't have to make that decision myself. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that, Jess.
See, I mean, that seemed. It's one of those things where it seemed quite problematic. So what was going on with Tabletop Simulator, because I've used Tabletop Simulator quite a lot, and it was my go-to thing, and it did seem as though it was just within certain places that it was attracting people who were not espousing the views that I'd have, and I found that really, really uncomfortable. But it's that difficult thing about how much is a community made up of a small number of people. Was it the silent majority who were agreeing with them? What did people think? Whenever you've got any of these communities, there's always those difficult questions. I mean, I found it quite difficult that they're just, that there was so little from Tabletop Simulator originally, and then they were sort of going, oh, well, it was just a few people, and the thing is that a few rotten apples completely spoil the barrel. It's not just that they're rotten apples, it's that they've spoilt it for the rest of us, and that is so frustrating.
I think the issue is that if you are trying to foster a community, you have to do some community management. I mean, Rado runs through. If you try to comment on any of their videos now, it doesn't get shown immediately. Rado has to check that. And apparently there are an incredible number of problematic comments that get posted every day. And some of them get deleted. If you're not spouting hate speech, then it will get shown, the next day, whenever Rado kind of manually checks it and says, yeah, that's a decent person, yeah, that, oh, wait a minute, no, I'm deleting that, blocking. And it's the case of, someone, I'm not going to name names here, but someone was behaving in a problematic way over the past 2 years, and there was one account which was just spouting hateful stuff against her detractors. And so fair enough, you're supporting someone, but then there's a level at which you should kind of say, wait a minute, that's really problematic, the stuff that you're saying. I appreciate you supporting me, but don't go making it personal against someone who, just because they're against me. But then this individual was kind of seemed to be fostering that, and eventually blocked this person after they'd spouted like someone else, like 89 really hateful tweets. And it seems like that's a long time to get your stuff in order to block someone. And when someone starts doing that kind of stuff, it should be block, because these kinds of peoples are making it worse for everyone else. And if you're not, that's why Board Game Arena does have a community manager. Speaking of which,
that is quite sensible. There's one thing I think I want to add on. It is so I am Dissent Games on there. So go find Dissent Games. But I think I just want to say on a lot of that thing about community management, that you have to work out what sort of community you are. So I do a lot of work in politics, which is you know, where a lot of the political stuff I've chosen to do, it's carefully and deliberately kept open. But that's an absolute choice, and people know this is a space for debating in. When you're talking about, most things, in most life, you don't follow those debating rules, and you don't say, look, we're going to open ourselves up. When people are talking about safe spaces, they often there's often that assumption there that everyday life is about, debating stuff, and then you go into spaces to be safe. And I think it's the other way around. You've got to have, that everyday life should be about, being polite and respectful, and not going in too hard. But I think you do need spaces where you can take a step back and say, okay, right, this is a debating space. This is where we're going to argue with each other. This is where we're going to, talk about these things, in order to keep them away from everyday life.
And the truth is that I have, actually, I'm going to be getting a copy of Jonathan Philip Chambers' game when he talk about, by the way, I sent you a friend request. I don't know if you remember our conversation with you and me and Jonathan, and there was someone else there, I can't remember who, but I've had them on the show a couple of times, and this is not to say that I agree with everything they say. None of my guests are someone that I agree with everything they say, and I try to make it clear when, okay, this is going to be potentially problematic, because I am interested to look at their game. I am a little bit cautious, and I am, it's going to be a challenging thing to review. It's not just, okay, here's a thing that's pure entertainment. It does deal with sensitive topics, and it does have some slurs in it. And the way that it approaches those things has been seen as problematic by many individuals. But I am keen to actually play it, and play it with a few friends who are ready. They know what they're getting into. I know a few people who won't be, put off by the topic and will be prepared for it emotionally. I mean, rules-wise, it's a fairly simple game. And yeah, I feel like these things can be explored even if you disagree with them. But you're right. The respect and value for humanity should be the default. It should be, now we're getting into a space where we are going to start attacking and criticizing things. Like when you start playtesting is all about criticizing the things you've made.
Yeah.
But if I play a normal game, I'm not going to start criticizing it, even if I can see all the problems in my mind, because that's detracting from the fun of the other people around the table.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's actually a really good example there, because when you're playtesting something, you've agreed that this is something where you're going to jump in and try to pull it apart. That's the whole point of playtesting. And it's the same with, with when you've sort of said, okay, right, we're now entering a time when, when we're going to debate these things, and we're going to try and pull them apart, and we're going to come up with these arguments. And I think it's, that should be a special space, and it's leaked in to everyday society where people go, well, hang on, surely you just walk down the street and you start talking about something because free speech, and you've got to be able to criticize things. And you're like, actually, no, you've got to get yourself into the correct space to do those, to do that sort of criticism. You've got to do it properly, essentially, which is something I like. And I really like having a good debate, and I love having a good argument with someone. And I am, possibly because of my various other privileges, I am very happy to step into that space. Whereas some people, perhaps don't have the mental energy, to do that at a time, or say, well, hang on, I've got too much else going on, and I'm very happy to step in and debate things. But that's something I want to do. It's not something that everybody should be doing all the time.
Yeah, I think you're right. People do have to be able to opt into this. And going back to Tabletop Simulator, CD puts it in very strong terms. I hate Tabletop Simulator, very hard to use, Board Game Arena is super user friendly, and yeah, tabletop simulators or Tabletopia or Screen Top or I'm trying to think of another alternative, but Screen Top and Tabletopia are also alternatives. These are great if you're playtesting games, but for games that are already published, I would really much rather play them on Board Game Arena, Yucata, boardspace.net, anything that enforces the rules and lets you drag things around.
Yeah. Yeah. Tabletop Simulator is possibly the best one to create stuff in. So coming at it from a game designer point of view, then it's easier to create there. But hey.
Okay,
Anyway,
so
let's go to a couple. I have played this, but it was a long time ago, so you will have to remind me of the rules.
So I will be very interested to hear how you feel about the user phase. So as you can see by the big mark on the top where it says alpha, this is in alpha. So this became public on, I want to say, Friday morning last week. And I've been amazed by, there's been like 116 games played so far. And I'm just super excited going through all the logs to say, oh, people are losing a lot more than I thought they would. I thought this was like a fairly easy game to win, but people are losing all the time. And, that, like, they're not losing a ridiculous amount. They are winning, but it's also because people want to push their score. And it's just really interesting to see how people play, because this isn't something that I've demoed a lot at conventions. You can understand why, right? It's 2 players only. I would rather demo something with more players if there's more of us. And also, it does take, in real life, maybe 30 minutes for a full demo. So, as it says, you can give a card, move a partner's card, or claim a word. So, we can discuss freely. It suggests, the official rules suggest that for your first game, just converse freely, and then for future games, you can try to use less discussion if you want. But a word has to be spelt from left to right with not one letter from each card, and it can start from anywhere. You are drawing 3 cards at a time, so you might want to wait until we've got more cards to do even more things, if you see what I mean. But to do an even longer word. So you've got rise, for example.
I do.
If I gave you an R, I could give you a riser, which is a 5-letter word, which is twice as good as a 4-letter word, because the scores are your word length minus 3, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So you really want to aim for 5, 6. I've managed to get like a 9-letter word, I want to say, since this came out, which I felt like once I get an 8-letter word, I'm like, oh, that feels good. But if you ever have more than 8 cards at the end of your turn, you lose straight away.
Okay.
That seems to be the most common way that people lose. And this was a surprise to me, that even when they've played before, they still sometimes lose through that. But you can get rid of cards during your turn. The other thing to watch out for is we do need to match our scores, but you don't need to worry about that until near the end.
Okay.
Oh, arise. And we could do arise, or we could do,
So if I gave, hang on. So that T is a bit difficult for me. I don't really see that there's anything particularly useful there.
So, so we might be thinking, okay, if I were on my turn to give you the AP, to give you a rise, then you've got the TD and the EL to give me, or indeed the EM if you think the EM is more useful. Maybe the EM is a good thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, what's most useful for you? So
Thank you, Joanne.
Yeah. I'm going to give you that T. Can I just give you one?
Yes, you can. Each thing you give me is 1 action. You get 2 actions. Where are you going to put it? I'm thinking if you were to give me T and then one of the E's, I could have time.
Oh, right. How do I give it to you?
I want to see if you can work that out, and if you can't, then maybe we should discuss how it could
Click
be made. To be
the
fair, you've not
arrow.
played Board Arena ever before.
No, that is very true. So
You
let's
click on
see.
the card.
I
Do
click on the card.
you want to
Yep.
share your screen so we see what's going on your screen?
Hang on. No, I see. I click it on the arrow to put the selected card there. So if you want time, like that.
Yes, and you've got one more action, and so if you
I
want,
could give you that. Now you've actually already got a.
maybe.
Yeah, I mean you've already got an M, but if you're going to, oh no, hang on, you're not giving me that.
You're giving me the for a rise.
But Ariser is Ariser one? It's probably not really.
Sure it is. Let me actually check.
Probably not.
I wonder if arisen is a word. Arisen is a word, so if I get an N, that'll be pretty gosh darn good.
Excellent. Well, why don't I give you the L then? Let's put it that. And where do you want that?
To the right, so it makes time.
You do. You want it to the.
Oh, we didn't get an N. That is sad times.
Right.
So I could make time already.
Yeah.
But it feels like, again, we really want to be waiting for longer words. Maybe we've got timed, or maybe even timely. I don't know if we get to Y.
Yeah.
Like you can see, the Ys are very uncommon. There's only 2 of them. But who knows? And so I'm not sure there's much to rise. Like, could I give you a card? Just do I want to actually pass? Arisen. Like, if you get an N, that would be perfect.
How do you get rid of cards?
By claiming words. So now you've got 9 or more cards in the hand. So you do.
And there are no N's anywhere, are there?
That is unfortunate.
Okay,
we could have had timer, but then that uses your arise.
And I've only got the one. Okay, I'm going to claim I'm going to claim a rise then.
Unless you want to wait for a moment just in case I get an N. As long as you give me one of your cards, that's fine.
Okay.
Oh, timeout suggests timeout. Oh, if you gave me the U and a T.
A U and a T. You've got. Oh no, you need the other T, don't you? So if I gave you. Nope. Stop it, thing. Let me unhighlight all of those.
Yeah, with the help of everyone. This is why this kind of game should not be a. Yep, timeout. And a T. Excellent. And so I'll give you the AJ. So I will get rid of this so that I have timeout. And I'm actually thinking that maybe if you're doing a rise, getting rid of a J might be better than getting rid of a P because P feels more useful.
Yeah, possibly.
So I am going to score timeout. And that is 4 points. That feels really good.
And
so now you do have to make a word.
0 N's again. That is absolutely unusual. Right, okay. So getting rid of that. Arise. So that's claiming a word. Okay.
Yeah, CD is giving us all the words. Thanks, CD.
And then, what else have I got down there? Have I got anything? Can I move where a card is? I can't. You
can't move your own stuff. You can move mine on your turn. But you can talk to me and tell me what you're thinking.
So I've got child. Yes, have I got child in
Oh,
there?
so you do.
So if
Yeah,
I
that.
gave you the eye, then you could put it in the correct place.
No, I would just move it. That's a waste of a move.
How do I move the...
You can't move your own cards, but I can.
Ah, right.
So
Okay,
you could
yes.
give me the AP if you're not using it, and I
Yeah.
could
Where do you want the AP? Beginning
Sar
is is
Son seems
hang on,
like
is Zar a word is Zar spelt with an S or a Z?
Tsar. I just checked. It is TSAR,
Excellent.
but it is only 4 letters, and there is plural. So if we get another S at the end, oh, there
Yeah.
we go.
You've got another S at the end. Excellent. Well, in
So
that
I am
case,
also thinking that if we
so if
get
you move the I, excellent.
REN, because you're now behind me in terms of points,
Yeah.
so we need to be in perfect balance at the end. And um, could I claim 2 words? Yes. You you but each you can claim 2 words on a turn, but each word that you claim gets rid of all those cards. So once
Right.
you've made a 4 letter word, it's almost like you've wasted those 3 cards that
Yeah.
get discarded each time you claim a word. So I was thinking if we got an E,
Yep.
we would have children.
We would.
Um,
And that's quite likely. As in, they're there
yes.
somewhere.
I think I'm going to give you this.
Okay.
And okay,
I've got an E. Yes, I've got an E. Excellent.
so
So, what do I need to... You need to move that E, and I want to give you one of those A's.
the only problem is that it will mean that I can't make SARS. I didn't think this through well enough.
Um.
And I've only got
Yeah,
2 actions, and we are at risk of going over because if you give
we
me
are.
one, then I will go up to 9, 10, and then I'll have to get rid of 2. So if I get rid of 2, I can't claim a word, which is
Should I just...
unfortunate.
So, in which case, should I just claim child now to get it out of the hand?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we could find something to do with these,
Oh,
the
you
other
could
one.
give me tartan. If
Okay.
you give
The
me
E
A
and the
and
N.
wait,
Do
does that
I...
work? Because if you give me those 2, I will be 3 over. I'll give you 2. That still doesn't work. No, that doesn't work. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
SARS seems like the yeah.
Okay,
We've
why don't I claim child then?
okay,
Claiming
yeah.
child, and then that
We've
gets
got a
rid of it.
child. That's good.
Exactly. Claim a word.
Both in real life and in this game.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and now, if you were going to get tartan, that would be, so I've got one move left, so I could give you one of those.
And
Yeah, give
good
you one of
morning,
those.
Alex. Thank you very much. And feel free to suggest
Yeah.
moves.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, do
tartan does
suggest
not
moves.
work because
No. Well, you'd
you'll
go
give
over.
me one. I'll go too far over. I will, unless you don't give me anything, and then I give you 2. I'll be 1 under, and then you can give me the things on the next turn. So
Okay.
potentially, yeah,
Okay, so shall I pass now then?
possibly, yeah.
Or do you want me to rearrange anything in yours?
Oh, actually,
Like taking that S and putting it at the end, possibly.
or at the start, yeah, that might be helpful.
You want me to move the S to the start or
Yeah,
the
one of
end?
the S's at the start, I think.
Okay, so then that would mean that you couldn't make Zars anymore. But if I move the so if
Or
I move,
yes, but we will have tartan. I think we will definitely have tartan.
Okay, in that case,
Tartan.
shall I move? Why don't I move the S at the start, the second card to the start? Then I'll do that.
Sure.
Ta-da! There we go.
And we've
Oh,
still
it's
got stars.
stars. It's stars anyway. Yes.
Tar.
Okay.
Oh wow! I've almost got tartans anyway.
Mm.
So I just need to give you one thing, like the SD or DSX, and then you would rearrange the A and the N, and then we'd have tartans. So I'm going to give you. I don't need the
Well, if you
SD
gave me the
or DSX.
SD, then that gets it out of the middle of your word, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Now I'm thinking where you'd want it. Oh, you could have leads.
Yes, I can. Leans. Yes, if I put the N at if
I
you put
was
the N at
meaning
the back.
actually leads. Like
Oh.
if I do put the SD and then the SX.
Yep. Yeah. No, that'll do.
And at least that's 5 letters, which is not too bad.
Okay. So, if I took Leeds now and claimed that word,
Startons sounds like a thing, says Alex.
and
I'm actually
then
going
I
to
need to
look it
give
up.
you the
Nope,
so
it's definitely not.
it's then I'd give you the E. It's tartans, is that right?
Tartans.
Tartan. So I need to move the A. That's what it is. Okay, so if I claim Leeds and then I move the A for you, does that work?
That would be perfect.
Oh no. Oh, there we go. Leeds. And I'm claiming that word. And then I'm moving the A. There.
Boom. So now I have tartans. That's not going to get any better. I am definitely claiming that. And
Yep.
now 8 points and 6 points.
So
Okay,
I need
so
2 points.
we are on track for at least a good victory, potentially even great.
Yay!
I can see potentially
What have I
risen, but then a lot of stuff is in the wrong order. And in this game, you really want to try and play with how it already is. Freeze, Frei. That feels like it might start a word. Freeze. No, apparently not. Like I thought Frisian.
When?
Pardon?
I'm just no, because the E and the W are on the same one. That's so frustrating.
Fresh. But that's
You
1,
need
2, 3 moves. 3
yeah.
actions to get you fresh. Fresh, and it's still only 5 words, 5 letters. Share.
We're
Shed.
around nice people in the comments. Come on.
Rins.
No, that's not a bad one.
RINSE. It only takes 2 actions. That could totally work.
Yes, let's try that.
RINSE. At least it's 5 letters. That gives you 2 points.
Yeah.
And so that's very good. So should I give you the R first, or should I move the I?
Probably give
I'll
the
give you.
R. Yeah.
I'll move the I because then you've still got lots of things.
Rinse. And I'm just trying to
Ooh,
say rinsed.
fire.
So there's a D there. Rinsed.
Rinsed. Oh, boom, rinsed. Yeah, taking it to 3 points. Yeah, I'm excited by that.
Yeah. And then, so if you then gave me the R, that's rinsed. So we've done those. And then the E and the I. What have we got left?
I mean, I was thinking diner, but then the R has to
Rain.
come.
We've got rain with what's left
Oh,
on yours.
yes. And then if we get to G, I don't think we've
Yeah.
had any G's yet.
Well, why don't I give you both of those? Hang on. Are you gonna? You give me the RH. So hang on.
Yeah,
So I'll
yeah,
give
that
you.
totally works. And then if we get an S
Now
and it's
remind me, if I'm
EI,
doing rain, it's EI. The E is
let me
first,
double check.
right?
Yes, rain. And then we could get a G to make it the other kind of rain, or we could have an S,
No,
or we could
no
do
G's,
raining.
alas. Rainy? Rain,
It is.
yeah. Never mind. Anyway,
No, there's no
so if
G.
you
Sad
give me
times.
the R and H, that'll work.
Rind suggests CD. I feel like we're really aiming for the things that are 5 letters minimum, cause like that's why rain is annoying. And so you've got rinsed.
Yay.
I feel I want to give you one more thing just because then my hand is going to be full and
Yeah.
I would like it to not be full, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, could I, if we're very lucky, maybe I could do reindeer. It's not going to happen, but
Right, so if I claim rinsed, and
okay. So
then
now you're 1 point
Noot.
ahead. We are on track for a great victory, and we've only got 3 more cards, and then we have all the information.
You don't want me to be multiple points ahead, do you?
Like I feel like so at this point it says the deck is running out. Player scores must be equal to win the game. And
Yeah.
so I feel like we could probably get to 10, like if you make one more word, but then I'd have to make sure that I get an S. I think it all depends on what's going to come out.
Okay, because I can make Zoom
Mm-mm.
with what
If
I've got left. Is that a good idea or is it a silly
not
idea?
now,
Okay.
like let's wait and see what I get, because right now, if you make Zoom and I can't make a 5-letter word, we definitely lose.
Right, okay.
But
I'm
if you
just
were
looking
to
now. One,
put NU to the left,
3, 4, hang on, 5,
mm, mm,
6,
mm, mm.
7.
And
Yeah.
apparently, I just double checked after Alex suggested it. Zoot is indeed in the dictionary.
Ah,
Zoot, as
excellent.
in a zoot suit.
So do you want me so the NU, which is last in yours, do you want me to put that next to the other?
I was thinking
Yeah.
bring it all the way to the left,
Oh,
because
right
then
at the start.
potentially, if we get like just in case we get an S to do rains, it will be easier to
Yep.
get
Okay.
that.
So if
Or
I put it right at the start before the R.
hmm.
Okay, I'll do that. Ta-da! There we go.
Oh, and potentially, I well, a G moved would give me 2, which would take me to 10. Or indeed, if I just got rid of the EY, Reigns would take me to 10, and then Zoom would take you to 10.
Yeah.
That is a great
Okay.
victory.
Let's try that.
Do we? I
Okay,
wonder
so
if
you're
there's an even better thing to do, though, because we could give you Zooms, taking you to 11. And if you were at 11, is there a way for me to make a 6-letter word?
if you gave me zooms, you don't have a
Yeah, I don't think there is. I'm not sure.
not in the time we've got, is there? Because so how long have we got left on this? when I can't, so I can't draw any cards next turn. Does that mean that the game automatically ends?
No. So you can see the turn counter here. So I've got my 2 actions, then you've got your 2 actions, and you have to make your last word. Then I've got my 2 actions, and I have to make my last word.
Okay.
And good night, CD, and lots of love. Have a wonderful evening. CD's in New Zealand.
Ah.
You looked confused as to why CD was
Well,
being
actually,
said.
I was mainly looking at the cards going, what do we do?
Doing. You do have ing.
Yeah, well, you have ing.
Yes, I mean, as a
But
couple, we do have.
we can't, but we don't have enough time to put that into mine, do we?
Not to put it into yours, but like I could give you zooms right now.
Okay.
I'm just going to do that. I'm not saying you should definitely make zooms, but I have to do that if you are to make a 5-pointer. I mean a 2-pointer. So you do have the option of you doing zoom, getting me the G for rain, and then we will win with 10 points. But yeah, could you with 1 action from you and 2 actions from me make a 6-letter word? G could go here between the I and G. That could be your thing. Or I could potentially get rid of E and I. Then doing. Denning. Deing. Reing. I don't see anything.
I think that it is, that we should do rain as in to reign over someone rather than to
Okay.
to use the reins, because we've currently got rain like the reins that you use.
So that's it. We're going to go for 10 points.
Okay.
So do not make zooms.
Do not make zooms. Make zoom, you mean?
Yes.
So I'm going to. So I put the G, the AG, between the I and the N. Correct.
Perfect.
Da-da. And then I go for zoom as opposed to zooms. Just the singular. Zoom.
1 zoom is enough, we've decided.
1 zoom is sufficient. And then I'm going to claim that.
And I will move that up and claim rain. And we win.
Excellent.
And
we don't
I
think we
will
can do anything else.
give you a card just for the sake of it, because visually it's nice.
Excellent.
We achieved a great victory in unlimited mode.
Hurrah! That's good. Excellent.
How do I rate my own game? Do I give it to 4 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5? Because the thing is, it doesn't determine how high it goes up. It just determines whether it advances.
Yeah. No, I like it.
What do you think? Was that perfect, or were there any details to be fixed?
I think that was perfect. I managed to do it. It all worked. Yay! Do I get a score? Do I get a rating? I'm sure I did get a chance to rate it. I've probably gone somewhere else.
No, you don't normally rate games on Board Game Arena, but apparently we could have done Pained. I would have to look back at it. Well, thank you for the help, but that's the thing. If we took like a day over it, then I'm sure we could have gotten like 13 points and been the perfect couple.
It's pretty good. It's good.
But, yeah,
I liked it.
They changed my thing of the perfect couple so that all of them say the word victory. Now, I'm not. How do you feel about that?
See, when I was looking at those scores, then I was slightly confused about why a successful victory was lesser than a good victory, because successful seemed to me You know, a successful victory seemed better than a good victory. But if it's a couple, then a successful couple is definitely not as good as a good couple. So I now completely see why they're in that order. But yeah, but yes, when I first looked at it, it didn't quite make sense that a successful victory was lesser than a good victory.
So the original phrasing, let me actually look. So a bare success, good, great, brilliant, a perfect couple. So you're suggesting that they should all end in the word couple. So a successful couple, a good couple, a great couple, a brilliant couple, a perfect couple.
I mean, maybe not a bare couple, but
yeah,
I mean, it's sufficient. Success seems a bit more than that, though. You know, success seems very much like good. Yeah.
Mediocre victory.
Mediocre. I mean, actually, that is probably it. Mediocre is a good word.
Standard victory, like when it's a bare success, that tells you what you want to know, though. I mean, 4 is literally the minimum that you can get. And if you work really hard to not make any words longer than 4 and don't make any more words than you absolutely have to, 4 is the minimum score. So honestly, if you are, even if you're not trying, you're probably going to get 6 points.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense.
I've not seen many people end up on 4 points. 4 is just there because it's the mathematical absolute minimum, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. No, I mean, that seems... So a bare success certainly seems like a good way to do it. I mean, to me, saying good and great and brilliant seem a bit boring, but I don't think it worked that well with victory at the end either, you know, which is what they've done.
Having them all say couple at the end, I really like technically a victory. I like that.
Actually, that is a very good one. I like that. Technically a victory.
But like, what if the word victory was replaced by couple? Would that be too confusing for gamers, do you think?
Technically a couple.
Like, technically a couple, if that fits. A good couple, a great couple, a brilliant couple, a perfect couple.
Yeah. Yeah, that would work. That would be funny, I think.
And it would get kind of I could imagine that being charming. Well, that has been lovely. Thank you very much for playing that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really nice to introduce you to Board Game Arena. Do you think that you will play some more games on Board Game Arena?
Well, I might, you know, because I'm so I'm not an early adopter with things, you know. I tend to sort of, you know, find something I like and go, oh, yes, I can do that. You know, I'll keep doing that. So yeah, I may well play more things on Board Game Arena, you know, now that I, you know how to get into it, etc. It was fun.
There are a lot of games, and I've not played. I played a lot during Christmas when I had COVID and I was self-isolating, but then I got better, and you can... Yeah, I'm planning to remake this so that you can see some of them have the title kind of in the thing, like Blood Rage there, and Azul, and Six Nymphs, and Carcassonne, and Splendor, which look quite good, and it was suggested that if I wanted to get Chris to make art, then we should do the same for a couple. Even though I noticed that Agricola, which is a fairly big name, doesn't have that going on. It's just got in the standard typeface Agricola. But I guess they get away with it.
Yeah, because everyone knows. Yeah, they're well known, so it's fine. But I mean, actually, it's the short games that I'd be going for. You know, things like, you know, playing Yahtzee is just so much fun. But yeah, doing it online is quite good because they do the scoring for you.
And there's like Lucky Numbers is quite fun. And the nice thing about these games is that you can learn a bunch of games that you don't really know that well.
Yeah.
For example, I wouldn't have ever gotten to play. Can't Stop, or
Oh,
Martian
Can't
Dice,
Stop
or
is
Lava, or Abandoned,
Can't
or
Stop.
Artichokes.
So addictive. The trouble with something like, yeah,
That's a
yeah.
great one.
Oh, Abandoned All Artichokes. I should go and play that. There you go.
And
See, I'm immediately going, yes, I should go and play these.
and there's a lot that I've not played, and I noticed a lot of them don't even have background images, which is kind of sad. So I'm already ahead of lots of games that are, fully implemented. So that feels good, even though it's kind of like thumbing my nose at people. J Fool's Guard, you yourself have a lovely day. I hope you are generally well. Have a fantastic day, whatever you're up to. Speaking of which, do you have a question for us, Jess? Question of the day. Question of the day. Here's a little question before we go on our way. Question of the day.
I hadn't thought about this, but I think that the question would be, and we need it to be relatively short because obviously we've been on here for a while and we should wrap up at some point. Question of the day. How prepared are you for Games Expo, Bez? Yeah, how prepared am I for Games Expo? It's a kind of...
How prepared is everyone for UK Games Expo? So, J Fool's Guards, I don't think you're going. Alex, you are going. Do you feel prepared for UK Games Expo? How prepared are you for UK Games Expo? I am going to rate it based on the number of volunteers that I have. And again, once more, if anyone would like to volunteer for me, then please go to my little Google form. I will send the link right now. And
it'll be fun. Volunteer for Bez. You'll get to wear red.
At least 6 more people.
Wow.
I can offer money to cover travel and food and clothes. I can offer accommodation is all sorted. I can give you my time afterwards. So if you want consultation or if you want me to draw something for you, I will kind of set aside, a day to be like, okay, do whatever this person wanted, like an illustration, or a couple of days, hopefully. And yeah, there'll be communal dinners. We'll get together. There'll be a nice atmosphere at the stand, hopefully. And we'll even have a special event on Monday if you're choosing to turn it into an extended holiday. Obviously, that's not compulsory. Like, there's a dinner on Wednesday, then on Thursday, some people will set up. Then Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when I actually need people. And then Sunday night, there's a big dinner after we pack down, and that's always lots of fun. But yes, and please come and help me. I am not feeling prepared. I want to make a balloon game, and that's still a lot further away from where I'd like it to be than, all your games. Like, because also your game is kind of a continuation of something. I'm hoping to get a balloon machine. We'll see how that works. I have at least ordered my power and my furniture. I did that on Saturday. So one day before the deadline.
What sort of balloons? Are you thinking of, of helium balloons, of just normal balloons?
No, not helium.
Balloon animals?
They are giant balloons.
Mm-hmm.
They are balloons about this size, but you can put games in them.
Oh, that is very exciting.
So you can stretch the neck of the balloons. There are special balloons with very stretchy necks, and then they do cost quite a bit. I think it's like more than £1 each, but it'll just be a case of, if you, I don't know how I'll do it. Like, if you spend a certain amount, you get your stuff in a balloon if you want it. That's probably how I'll do it, like based on spend. Like, £30,
maybe, yeah. Though
If
that has reminded me that I have a whole load of balloons for balloon animals. So maybe I should So yeah, maybe I should bring those along. Just the normal modelling balloons. So I'll bring those
So
along,
can
and
you
I'll
do
make
balloon
some.
modelling? Will you be doing balloon
Yes.
stuff?
Well, now I will be. I've now decided. I mean, maybe I
Okay.
will be. So I do have some, and I can do. I can do your standard things. I can do a dog and a giraffe and a rabbit and a dinosaur. I can do a good stegosaurus. I can tell you, but not much beyond that.
I am genuinely impressed. Well done. Go you.
Well, let me go and bring you a stegosaurus at Games Expo. I'll bring you a little, balloon stegosaurus.
If it's not red, I will be severely offended.
Well, I will see what I have. I'm sure there are some red ones or some pink ones. If it's not red, then I'll make it at least similar to red. I'm sure we've got some.
So now the question I always like to ask is, over to you. What are you up to? You can share bottom me if you want to. I've asked on Twitter what I should draw for my game about pouncing things quickly. That keeps getting trickier. And so on Twitter, cats in different poses was the #1 choice. On Facebook, the lion, snake, giraffe choice was the #1 choice.
Ooh.
And then so people do like the animals. Clock, carrots, and coats. I think people like that because it's just a little bit weird. And interestingly, no one
I chose that one, I must admit. I voted for clock,
whimsical
carrots,
creatures. I think you've just seen a lot of creatures from me. I think people want to see something that's not whimsical creatures drawn by Bez. Just make it a little bit different. It makes sense. Like maybe from someone else you'd want to see their whimsical creatures, but I've already drawn hundreds.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yes, I am going to go for a quick walk. Actually, first I'm going to see if I need to check in with Chris. Go for a quick walk, come back, sort out stuff, do drawings of more creatures, possibly more radishes. Maybe tonight I will go gaming. I'm not actually sure because I'm just feeling like I've got so much to do by this time tomorrow. Then I'm going to reach out to a big company who I mentioned. Yes, we kind of met at the toy fair, and so that was quite exciting. We had also met at UK Games Expo before, and she remembered me, so that was quite exciting.
Nice.
She was like, "Oh, you made that," and so yeah, we swapped business cards, and then she added me on Facebook, saying, "I basically never do this."
Business cards. I need to make business cards.
Yes,
So,
you do.
that's what I'm
Absolutely.
doing.
And
it's
lots
on my
of love,
list.
Alex. Have a lovely day. Yes, make your business cards, and I think you should do the same as me. Have like a lot of games on one side. Have you seen my I Am Bez business cards?
Yes, I have. I've got a few of them. Yes. I
Not
think
the You Are Brilliant, the I Am Bez ones.
No, the I Am Bez ones. No, I've seen those ones
Okay.
too. I think maybe I might make some mazes to go on the other side of the business card.
I
Nothing
like it.
complicated. So nothing complicated, just a maze.
Do you
but
want to pay
mazes
me
are cool.
to make a maze that when you fill it out makes a love heart?
Oh, now that is a good idea. Not for this one, but who knows?
Because that is something that I used to do, and I used to be very good at it. That's basically, it might take me a little bit of time. I just, get what you do is you get some grid paper, you draw the line that you want them to follow, and then you make sure that that's the maze, and then start off with that desired path. And then you fill in the other bits afterwards, if you see what I mean. And then you fill out the maze, and then you draw it, and then you put a bit of paper onto it, and then you redraw everything on top, kind of tracing.
Nice. I like that idea a lot. See, now I'm just thinking about what sort of mazes to do. But yes, excellent.
But a simple maze would also be totally fair. And of course, a labyrinth is not a maze. For those unaware, a labyrinth is technically just a single path with no junctions. You never make a choice. It is intended to confuse you as you walk around this path that turns and twists, but it's just a single path. So,
whereas a maze is much more tricky.
A maze has choices, a labyrinth does not. And this is the thing. When I watched the Labyrinth, I thought that Jim Henson's Labyrinth was a labyrinth, but it is in fact not. It's a very complicated maze.
Wow, there you go. Exciting.
Anyway, so yes, that is what we're up to. Business cards, reaching out to people, making stuff, and I will be doing that new game hopefully in time for tomorrow morning's stream. And if there's anything that you want to share, feel free to share. But we talked about so much today. We talked about pondering who we are. We talked about like the articulation of things. We talked about small print runs. We talked about maybe I should do X versus Y drawn together sheets that are themed. Like there was a lot of great ideas, bells and teddy bears and stars and gifts, but maybe a whole bunch of gift box versus this, or love heart versus this. It could be like birthday cards, like love hearts versus shark. Maybe someone really loves sharks. I don't know.
Sharks are a great thing.
Yeah. Dolphins, I don't know. Fish. Like it could just be a kind of shark. But if it was like a shark, would people? I think it has to be shark specifically rather than just generic fish, because I think that's something that people might really love. But we talked about the frogs and the flowers and the simplicity, the 50 sheets and the undervaluing yourself. We talked about the playtesting, about making safe spaces and how important it is to make sure that, yes, you have a space where you've opted into being criticized and going and playtesting and being like, yes, I want to be criticized, but it should be an opt-in thing. And I think it's also interesting because it makes me, now that I'm recapping this, realize that so many people come along and they've maybe not quite realized what they're opting into. And then they go away dejected because they just wanted to be told how good their game was. And so it's all about checking in with the other person first, making sure what they're up for. And then we played Couple, and that was lovely to play. And thank you for giving me your time. Joanne says, I have an idea for a game. Maybe I will talk about it sometime. It's about cats. I like drawing cats, but I'm not a great illustrator. I mean, the first step, if you're making a game, is simply to, think through the rules, think through what you'll be doing on your turn, and then at a certain point, once you've worked out like a solid way to go, you can maybe play it with your partner and see if they're up for it. Do you have any tips for someone starting off, Jess, right now?
Not really. I think you've got it. I think you've got it.
But yes, after UK Games Expo, I will have a bit more free time. And I am actually potentially looking for people, although my time zone's really bad for you. I was going to say you could come on as a regular guest, Joanne, if you wanted to talk about it. But I know that 5 a.m., even though you're sometimes up, it's not great. But if you want to check me out anyway, I am Stuff by Bez everywhere, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and all the places going down at the bottom. And if you want to buy my stuff, then I am stuffbybez.com/bigcartel, and Discord is stuffbybez.com/Discord. Also, check out stuffbybez.com/streams, where you can find out not only what I'm streaming about, but also the things that are going on publicly. I mean, the grieving that I mentioned on Friday, Saturday, it's not something that is a public event. It's obviously a very private family affair. But Sunday, Dicini, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Adams, Herefordshire board game event on the 14th and 15th, and UK Games Expo. These sorts of events you will find on my calendar as well. Where do you like to be found, Jess?
I am generally on Twitter, but I'm also on Facebook. Come and find me on Twitter, where I am Dissent Games, but I'm also Quaker Dissent, so you can come and find me at either of those, or come to dissentgames.com for all sorts of Dissent Games things, including the cards and things. But then go to Library Labyrinth for the most recent Library Labyrinth things. And there'll be an update very soon. That's another thing I have to do. I have to do an update for Library Labyrinth.
Well, that sounds fantastic. Oh, that reminds me, I should probably send another couple of messages to ask people to vote to vote in the Golden Geek Awards. Again, I don't want to say vote for me, even though personally I would love that. I just want to remind people to vote. And if you are on Board Game Geek and you don't have the Geek Gold, I have enough Geek Gold for about 4 more people to get their own avatar, and then you can vote for everything forever. Joanne, I would love to come on your stream sometime after UK Games Expo. Let's talk about it June, mid-June, late June, early July would be good. But lots of love to everyone, and for now, there's only one thing left to say. I'll actually spread the word. Thank you, everyone. I never said thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone who's been here. Thank you for the chat. Thank you for the comments. And most importantly, thank you, Jess Metheringham, for your time.
Thank you for having me on. It's always fun.
And lots of love, and bye. This is a goodbye song to do. Bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye. This is the end of the show. Bye. And now it's time to go. Bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye. This is the end of the show. Bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye.